Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. I'm Skills Builds, and for over a year now, we've been developing the city of Dewey Del Mar, our fictional home away from home, pulling in designs from cities across the US. A lot's changed since the series began though, and we've picked up so many new tools and tricks that I think it's time for a fresh start. So today, we're starting a brand new city, here in Cities Skylines 2. This time around, I've got a vision for a more organic European city. Something established way before the car was ever invented, and with a road layout that shows it. I'll be playing on normal mode and with the usual mods, but mods can't fix bad design, so as always, I'm going to rely heavily on your ideas and your feedback. And the very first thing we need is a name, so after the episode, if you have any thoughts on what we should call our new city, whether it should have Dew or Dewey in the name somewhere, drop a comment and then we'll vote on the top ones. In today's episode though, I'll introduce the map, plan the starting road layout, go over essential services, and see where our budget lands by the end. So without much further ado, let's begin. So first things first, let's take a look at the map. And this is a modified version of the St. Angelo map by Teddy Radko and Poplar Ponderosa. One where I've removed a bit of the highway infrastructure just so we get more of a clean slate. That being said, definitely go check out the map in its original form because it is unbelievable. It's got all this incredible surface detail. I mean, you see the patches of farm work here, but fun little tourist spots around the coast and some really pretty interchanges. So pretty, in fact, that I had to keep one around. This partial cloverleaf is a work of art, so I've kept this attached to our starting road here, and it funnels into the main highway that goes throughout the entire map to the outside connection there. And I've also kept around this single train line going down to our starting tile here. In terms of resources, this map pretty much has it all, so let's take stock before building anything so we can get a sense of where the early industry is going to go. And then also start to understand why the city was built in the first place. So let's go to our resources tab. And I'm going to uncheck everything first so we can go through them one by one. Starting with wood, no surprise we got trees everywhere, so plenty of opportunity for a lumber industry. Land fertility, this is super cool. They put the fertile land underneath the custom farms, and that is some crazy attention to detail. Oil deposits and ore deposits are pretty much all over the place, so a few opportunities for those types of industries. And then this fish population thing, this was added in the last patch, but you can't really do anything with it apparently, so I'm not sure why they kept it in there. However, if this were functional, I'm guessing we would have some kind of fish industry, but since right now this is not really doing anything, I'm thinking that our city was more of a trading post for all the crops and the fertile land out in the countryside here, since it has really good access to shipping lanes out into the ocean there. All right, now for the fun part, which is our roadway network. And if you're like me and you usually sweat the small details and you try to make your roads as efficient as possible from the get-go, my advice is, when you're starting out, just have fun with it. If it looks funky, that's okay. We can always change it later. For this city, though, I'm definitely going for a more organic European feel. I mean, for one, this map just lends itself so well to a European city, I think. But two, I want to make this a little different from Dewey Del Mar. Give ourselves more of a challenge. Even though it's going to make zoning an absolute pain, I think it'll be worth it in the end. In terms of the layout, we know that industry and farmland are going to be on the outskirts. Industry will be over here since that's downwind of everything, as we saw, but farms are non-polluting, so that can go all along the outside here. And we said it's a big trading post, so we'll definitely have some maritime industry along the coast here once we unlock all those assets. So that tells me our bigger roads, kind of the avenues, should be funneling traffic from the countryside down here into the core where it would be ostensibly shipped out. So I'm thinking, let's begin by actually changing our starting road here. This will be a big arterial, but I want to make sure that this has parking and zoning alongside it. This is actually a highway, but that was just part of the map. So let's make sure that this is indeed zonable. And we'll definitely have a big train station here once we unlock that. So let's bring this down even further, closer to the water. The first avenue I'm thinking about is going at a cross section or crossways, something to bring industrial and farming traffic out from this side down to the ports. So let's begin by going at kind of an angle uphill, somewhat following the terrain lines. Now I'm going to use Anarchy just because we're going to briefly go outside the starting map tiles. We won't zone anything there though. I don't want the roads to follow the tiles. I want them to follow the terrain lines, you know? And then we'll come at a right angle around here before making our way across the stream and then making its way to that countryside over there. From here, I'm gonna go to constant slope and elevation to make a bridge segment. And then back down to grounding to force it to go back down to ground. Hence the name grounding. Okay, that'll eventually follow the coastline along there. The other avenue I'm thinking about is to service our farms out there. We actually have a sliver of fertile land in our starting tile right there if I turn on colors. There you are. So we definitely want some kind of major road leading up to there. And obviously it'll serve all the zoning in here. So let's go back to our 4-laner. Let's come off at like a slight angle around here and we'll cross another bridge right over here. And I'm gonna start curving it so it can get on the other side of this tree line here. Okay, alright, this is looking pretty, I don't know, is it looking European? Looks pretty organic to me. So now let's think about the collectors. I'm gonna get a couple of 2-laners with parking to fill in the gaps here. Again, kind of following the tree lines, following the terrain where we can find it. And then I also want to do like a parallel configuration along the stream here that curves up and leads to the lake here. So to do that, let's go get, I'm gonna do these tree-lined roads, which is a new mod by, I think it's Brian Rocco. Let me double check that. Excuse me, Brian Roca. So this is basically, it allows you to put trees and parking on the road, not one or the other, which is the default in the game. But for this, I'm gonna go to the parallel tool, turn off all snappings except those, go to continuous mode, and let's see how wide this needs to be. Let's go up to 4. Yeah, it should be wide enough. So I'm just gonna follow the curvature of the stream here. And I think this would be kind of cool if we got some townhouses along the riverbank there, kind of like Amsterdam or something. I think from there we can go down to a single one. Let's bring this single road up along the coast here, and then I'm gonna get another collector crossing the stream here, going above the train tracks since it's kind of in a lower valley there, and then we can attach it to this side of this amazing roundabout which came with the map, again from Teddy Radko and Poplar Ponderosa. And I just realized I used the tree line road. We do not need that for all the way out here. So let's replace this all with our regular 2-lane road. I'm pretty sure it's the same price, so that's okay. It just looks a little weird since we already have all these trees out here. For this connection into the roundabout, let's just use, I guess for now, we'll use these one-way alleys since we don't have highways unlocked. And then we can replace those with these highway segments once we do unlock those. Okay, I would totally use the road services tool to turn these into key walls, but we have not actually unlocked that yet, so we'll let that be. I'll come back to that in a second, but that is all well and good. Let's complete some roads out here now. I'm thinking we'll bring this road down along the tree line to connect back into there, and then we'll bring this road along the riverbank to connect right there. On this side, a couple more connections. Let's just make a triangle here following the train line there, and then we'll do one more triangle and this little tidbit here. Maybe you can come off from the roundabout on that side, and then I think we're ready to go one step lower on the road hierarchy food chain, which is the alleyways. But for now, we'll just come off at like an angle from here. Follow the terrain line, and then we can meet back up right around here. Boom, and then same thing over here. Okay, so we have our three main avenues. The first one going to the highway roundabout, one along the coast here, and then a third going off in the countryside that way. And obviously this one goes to that part of the countryside. Then a couple of collectors to connect them up. This fun little couplet along the riverbank, which I realized I did not actually connect up to the arterial. There's a tree-lined road. Let's fix that. Excellent, did not mess up the node there. So now let's do some alleyways to break up these super blocks into chunks. I'm thinking on this side, closer to the farmland, I'm gonna use gravel roads since they're a little cheaper, I believe, than alleyways. Just barely $500 per kilometer, but it looks a little more farmy, I guess. In here though, I'm gonna use alleyways to create more organic looking cells to kind of mirror the natural look we're going for. So let's begin with these regular alleyways. Let's break up this block first. I'm gonna kind of go semi-parallel to this road right here. Let's do a couple that are parallel to our main arterial on either side here as well. And I think these ones will lead into some gravel roads that will attach our farmland to, because remember, this is where the fertile land is. And obviously all these farms out there. And now let's get some cross alleyways to break these up. Alright, got some oblong looking cells in there, and I tried to randomize it a bit so not everything lines up perfectly. Maybe there's like a super block right here, and then yeah, just nice and curvy. So let's do something similar over here. I'm gonna leave these open since obviously the train station will go there, and we'll probably have bigger assets here right by the water, but we can do something similar right along here. Let's just break this up, and we'll do alleyways within these blocks here, and then gravel roads for the farmland and factory roads out here. Ooh, and you know what? While we're here, I'm gonna extend a road along the coast going up here, and then we can get an alleyway going a little closer to the water where we can do some single family houses, I think. I'm gonna turn on constant slope and grounding for that so it doesn't get all lumpy and bumpy. And actually this can serve the coastline down here since it's getting pretty steepy there. Could have a nice little coastal highway. Okay, excellent. Nice and organic looking, at least to my American eyes, so a good start, I think. One thing I noticed when doing all this is I somehow have roundabouts unlocked, even though, as you can see, I have 0 development points, so this must be some mod giving it to me, but honestly, I'm not sure which one. However, I won't tell if you don't. Let's use these on the main avenue intersections, I think. These two right here, and let's get one more at this crossroads here. Even more European. Love it. So with all that out of the way, I think we're ready for basic services, which to begin is power, water, and sewage. For power, I'm definitely going to go with the wind turbines. They're a lot cheaper than the alternative, this coal power plant. And remember, that 100K figure does not include wages. So it's a lot more expensive than it looks. It's got pollution, whereas this is nice and clean and no wages. So let's get 2 of these, I think. So I only have this tile available to me right now. I can't buy any more just yet. And unfortunately, this is not the windiest part of the map. In fact, let me turn on colors really briefly. So this is the windiest corner of this tile, and even then you can see it's only 1.75 megawatts out of the max 5. So this is kind of a temporary solution, I think, until we can buy more tiles. For now though, it's fine. So let's get 2 of these in the corner here. And it would be awesome if we had some like Dutch windmill assets, but these still look pretty cool. We can also upgrade these with solar panels if and when we need more juice, as well as an advanced rotor system. For now though, this should be okay. Let's just connect them up. And boom, there's power. For water and sewage, I saw in Biffa's video the first episode of his new Teelan series, which is awesome. Go check it out. If we use the French water tower, which is this guy right here, this includes a filtration upgrade that handles sewage, and it's a lot cheaper than the sewage outlet itself, so this also just looks 10 times cooler. This would be awesome if we could get this over here as like a lighthouse, but again, I can't buy a tile right now, so instead let's get it as like a coastal park right along here, and we can say it like warns people off from the kind of steep coastline right there. For that though, let's reclaim a smidge of land here. And then we'll have a utility road sloping back up to meet Deerfield Lane, which itself will eventually snake its way back up to Gardenia right there. For the road that the water tower is going to connect to though, I'm going to use a parking alley. Get rid of some of these rocks, plop down our water tower. Get that upgrade, and boom, there is water and sewage. Let's do a little bit of detailing. I'm gonna smooth out this coastline, then get some riprap along the coast there. Easy peasy, love it. Okay, so we're done with the basic services, which means we are finally ready to zone. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. We'll do residential and commercial in this semi-grid right here, commercial along the main avenue here, and then single family houses in the back along the alleyways. Once we unlock row houses, I want to do like an Amsterdam effect along Vermont Street and this Moore Street. I think we have 2 more streets now. So we got row houses facing the water. I think that would look kind of cool. More commercial along the Elm Street Avenue there. And if this is a maritime trading post, eventually we'll get some piers and some clean like warehouses along the water there. Then we'll have some single family houses along the coast there, this nice winding road, more in this triangle. And then since this is where the wind's blowing that way, this is where all our quote unquote dirty industry will be, in these gravel roads and by our windmills. And then of course we said this was our fertile sliver, so we'll have some farms there and maybe some clean industry, because don't forget we have the clean industry mod by Mamansi. So these don't pollute, these can pretty much go anywhere. Now along the curvy roads, I'm actually gonna hand plop buildings and position them within the grid here. Otherwise it's gonna look like garbage because as you can see, all the zoning tiles are messed up. So if I use this built-in tool, we'd have so many weird looking gaps. We can use it in the straight roads at least, but yeah, inside the grid and all along here, I'm gonna use find it and move it to just make it look a little better. I'm gonna do my best though to only plop down buildings that I've actually unlocked starting at level 1. So I'm not gonna, just hand plop down level 5 row houses and immediately have a beautiful looking Amsterdam canal. This way buildings will still level up and it'll look like the city's grown. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's hit play and start plopping. And sweet, we've reached milestone 1, Tiny Village. So what do we got? A little bit of cash, the Heath Pub. Definitely want to place this down by one of the roundabouts, I think. Nice. Loan limit, I'm not going to use that yet. We can finally buy map tiles now if we need to expand with more windmills. City budget though, this will be key because we can actually lower some service budgets now and save a little bit of cash. Or if we need to raise taxes, that's there too. The coolest thing though definitely is the row houses. So now we can do our Amsterdam road. And the other ones are, I guess, bigger roads. That's pretty cool. But then we got to place down healthcare and death care now. before citizens start complaining. I'm not going to do garbage because we can actually export our garbage for now. We'll think about where we want to do the landfill later, but I'm not worried about that yet. Let's get down healthcare and death care. And for death care, I definitely want to get the UK parish church because it's a church, and every old European city needs a church. And I'm thinking this block right here would be pretty cool. Let's place this down. We'll do this, how about like facing the curve here? Because then we'll get a parking road stretching right across. Now I'm going to use one I've built with Road Builder, which is this Alley 90 parking. There we go. And we can even use some surfaces to get a nice little plaza right out front. Lovely. And kind of weird, we unlock services, but we don't unlock districts yet. So I'm guessing that just means the entire city uses them. But that's death care. Let's get healthcare. And for that, let's use maybe the French clinic so we can get that European feel. What else is available? Eastern European. These are too modern looking, I think. So yeah, we will do the French one. Let's get it in this block right here. Excellent, so we're all good on services besides garbage, but now let's lower some of these budgets. I'm gonna keep electricity at 100 because I know we're gonna hit it pretty soon, but water, let's go down to, we'll do 60. Healthcare and death care, I'm gonna bring this down to 60 as well. Garbage, we'll keep it as, and roads, they don't really change anything. Actually, it literally did nothing, so we'll keep that at 100%. So we got quite a ways to go till level 2 now, but we got full demand for all residential and commercial. So let's go heads down, get as many single family houses in the grid, row houses along Vermont Street, and more commercial along the avenues until we reach level 2. Let's do this. And wouldn't you know it, right as we're about to hit level 2, we have a power shortage. So this should put us over the line if we upgrade these two with solar panels. Oh, is this one gonna do it? Hey, there we go. Okay, so we got $50,000, that's nice. And then a couple of, this is the modular zoning blocks mod. And, ooh, nice, fluidité, lovely. Loan limit, I don't care about, but this stuff, this is what I'm excited about along the canal and the waterfront, especially the Mediterranean stuff. And where are you at? Yeah, German and French. I think that's gonna look really cool. The new service building we gotta think about though is education. And is that it? Yep, that's it. So let's think about education first, because I think I'm only gonna do elementary school because doing both that and high school is a little beyond our budget right now, I think, because we're about to go way down. For the elementary school, I'm thinking the French elementary school because that would fit in really well with the French assets here. Plus, you can see it's kind of got the red tinted roof. This, in my mind, jives a little bit better with the Mediterranean stuff, which we'll use closer to the water there. So let's get it right in here. And this is nice and central, very close to all the houses there. No need to upgrade. In fact, let's reduce this budget because we do not need it at full capacity. So remember, we can't make districts yet, so nowhere to assign it. But for the medium density housing stuff, you can see I left some blocks open for corner buildings along here as well by the canal. But before doing that, before tackling housing, I want to make some farms since we have all this open farmland and we have zero production internally in the city. So let's buy a couple of tiles. And I say buy, I forgot that the first 9 tiles are actually free. So let's just grab a few tiles. I think that should be good for now. And I'm gonna do 2 things. I'm gonna downgrade this stretch of Moore Street. It looks a little weird having a 4-laner attached to gravel roads like that. Right now, I think we're fine with just 2 lanes here. And I'm also going to de-zone this block of commercial just so we can have a more gradual drop off in density. We can get some more houses there. But let's get the farms that require fertile land over here, because if I turn on colors, you'll remember this is where the fertile land is. Then over here, we can do chicken production or whatever it is, livestock, which does not require fertile land. Let's extend these gravel roads a little bit more so we have more space for our farm assets themselves. So let's bring this down by the tree line there. Oh, here, we'll do this. We'll have a road kind of following this way that can eventually cross that stream. Connected there, and this will go right into there like this. So we'll have a farm there, maybe 2 on this side. I'm going to do a little bit more zoning on this side of, I think that's Valley Street. Yeah, just so, again, we can have more gradual drop off in density, not all that right next to farms. And then let's extend gravel roads around here a little bit more as well, going down this tree line. And let's get one more gravel road, maybe serving this farm right here. And we can even do some clean industry warehouses, again, using the mod by Mamonsi, which is, yep, right here, just to store some stuff. But all right, let's get some fertile land farms over here and then livestock over here. And to make these look a little more like blended into the countryside, I'm going to bring back some of those oak trees, but we'll definitely need anarchy for this. Get a couple of clusters. One thing I've kind of learned and really enjoyed, as you can see here, is that it's not always just like a perfectly straight line of oak trees that you see in tree lines. It's, yeah, you got clumps, you got things spread out. It looks a little more, yeah, a little more natural. So that's my advice if you're trying to place down farms and make them kind of blend into the countryside a little better. Okay, now we have some solid crop production. Let's get back to zoning, definitely residential. So I'm gonna try some of the UK small or low density houses along Valley Street, fill in these blocks here, get actually a couple of warehouses like I mentioned up there, and then let's fill in the gaps here with more medium residential. You know, I'm not usually a fan of the rain effects in this game, but this view right here is pretty cool. where you have the rain in front and then parts of the countryside in sunshine, other parts in shadow, that makes the rain kind of worth it. So quick recap of what I've been zoning in. A lot bigger, not a lot bigger, but bigger housing lots in the back here, filling in the gaps with trees. Since we have more space to play with, figured let's throw them a bone since we're not in the crowded inner city here. And then I'm trying to fill in these weirdly shaped blocks with a few different region packs in. Maybe our European friends are just screaming right now because I'm like doing a Frankenstein monster here. But one thing, I totally forgot that you cannot recolor French buildings. So to me, these kind of stick out with the bright colored roofs there. So I might later down the line replace them with these German townhouses, which you can recolor and which I think look pretty nice. In fact, we could even brighten up the brick facade there. And then starting to get some medium density in the corner here, right along our main kind of canal street. One thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to swap the French clinic to this side of the street since, I don't know, that looks really, really weird. I don't like seeing that blank wall. And we can get rid of these Eastern European assets. Let me get rid of these as well. So it's a little more consistent so we don't have German to Eastern European to French. And we just have more space to work with in the back there. We can cover it with trees. So let's get this there. I'm not sure how much money that just cost me, but let's fill in this gap with more of this German medium density, which this is level 1, and that looks freaking incredible. God, these artists. Yep, see, level 1. Ridiculous. Not what I thought it would do. Oh well, let's fill in this corner now with a few more of these French assets. And yeah, as I play around with these, if y'all like one region's aesthetic more than another, let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear what y'all's thoughts in. And again, we'll do some Mediterranean stuff pretty soon along the coast there. So off screen, I've added a few more houses to fill out the grid here, and then a couple more into the countryside, more sporadic as we're kind of going into nature. Was that just a lightning strike? Or was that a graphical glitch? That was pretty cool. But as you can see, we are very close to level 3. So to get us over the hump, I'm gonna add a few more alleyways to break up this part of the road network right there. And if that doesn't get us over, let's add a couple more signature buildings. So to begin, I'm gonna have an alleyway come to the side of our eventual train station. And then in between these two styles of row houses, that transition is a little awkward, so I think we can separate them with a road. Something like that. And then let's have an alleyway come behind the church and we can break this up into even smaller cells. Okay, that didn't do it. Oh, come on. So this better do it. Let's get that Heath Pub signature building right in the corner of this roundabout. Seriously? Okay, last resort. I'm gonna get the Church Inn Pub or whatever it's called. The Church Inn, right next to the church. The oldest hotel in the city. There we go. Okay, a little bit of cash. And then the main things are not the Riverside Grill, but we got fire and police now, and I think that's it. Yep. So in terms of fire and police, I think I'm only gonna do fire for now because I'll wait till there's an actual crime, which is a horrible way to govern, but I wanna save a little bit of money. For the firehouse, I'm gonna use the German one because this is super pretty. And honestly, it's not that much more expensive than the others. I guess the upkeep is more expensive than this one, but we get 4 fire engines. Let's get this in this corner here by all of our heavy industry. And this is gonna go at some point, just a single street of factories. That makes no sense, but we needed the jobs. So since we have essentially 0 residential demand, let's finally turn this into the maritime trading post that we said it was gonna be. So for that, we're gonna bring back the sand surface, level the terrain here, and turn this chunk of coast into like an old 18th century looking port. We're gonna use the new key roads to bring a road along the coast here, stopping where the stream lets out and going into this intersection right there. And then we'll use a bunch of the leisure piers to, create piers for ships to dock to. So to begin, let's get the sand surface back. And they were super meticulous about the angles and everything. So they're 1,000 little endpoints to move back here, but then we'll get rid of the props and level the terrain. So now we're gonna go to our small roads and get the medium, key with two-way road. I'm not gonna snap to the shoreline because that tool's a little finicky. But let's get this parallel to the avenue first, and then we'll curve around here and swoop up into this alleyway there. And then finally we'll have another connection going into our intersection right before the bridge and key walls facing the stream there. So we'll begin over here. And you can see that really brings down the land. So what we might do is get that elevation and then bring that out to have a deeper bay, I guess. And here we'll slope up into our river elevation just like this, smooth it out a little bit. Okay, it's looking nice and level, I think. So next step, we're gonna take a wide wooden leisure pier and go parallel to the road. And to start, let's actually just get a node coming straight off from here. That should be okay. We can use move it to make sure it's all the same elevation later, but let's come a little bit away from the road so we get, so we don't get some like node wonkiness happening there. Now let's bring this a little bit farther down so we hide this right here. And if I get behind the tree, I think that looks pretty level, so that's looking good. But now we can do the actual piers that ships will dock to, and for that we're going to use the small or the narrow wooden leisure pier so we can fill this up and make it feel really busy. We definitely want to come at an angle though, so ships aren't going like straight in and straight out, and I think it'll let us fit maybe a few more docks. So let's start on this end. We'll come off, and that looks a little weird. Let's come a little closer to the end. Let's do, 44 meters long, and then let's have it 60 by 120. And let's make this last one a little special. Let's come off at kind of a broken angle like this. Okay, so far so good. So now let's get those medium boat props that we have from the ferry mod, and then let's get these sailboat ones on the very end here. And with a little bit of movement magic, we can select all these and then get them to the height of the pier. Ooh, a little high, we can bring those down. And look at that, we got a harbor. So now we got ships bringing cargo to the city, we need factories and warehouses to store them, process them, whatever else ports do. And I know I said we were gonna do all our dirty industry on that side of the map since the wind's blowing that way. But I was thinking, you know, if you take a look at pictures of like Industrial Revolution London, they got factories out the wazoo, along the water, in neighborhoods, and they also had a giant poop problem, which we now do as well. So let's quickly address this, get our, oh no wonder it's at 60%. Let's go up to 80. That should be good for now. As I was saying though, they had factories everywhere, so if we want to be a little more authentic with the timepiece we're going for, let's get some factories right along what is now Dunhaven Street, but definitely needs a better name. Was that not enough? Let's see. Whoa, where did all of our water go? Oh, because it's on fire. That's where's our German fire station? What are you doing, dude? Dispatched. Hurry up. Okay. No wonder. All right, we'll let that happen. Let's get a road to break up this block, though. And then let's get some factories down. And unfortunately, I totally forgot, when you make a connection to the new key walls, they do this thing, which is, yeah, unfortunate. It doesn't look great. And our piers are kind of hiding that over there, but I don't know, maybe we can get like a pedestrian bridge eventually to cross this way. Maybe we can, use the terrain though? Let's see. Marginally better, but I'm not too worried about it. Looks like we have full demand for residential again though, so let's finally get some Mediterranean housing on this side of Elm Street, and then some more shops on this side. Okay, so we finally have some Mediterranean housing, and honestly, I'm not sure which color I like the most. I feel like the white just washes out too much, so let's try this more like cream colored one. At least for the facade, or the water-facing buildings. See how that looks? So that's all coming in, and I've completely eaten all my medium residential. I'm thinking to maybe bump that back up. I'm gonna taper back these row houses that I plopped down. I feel like it's like the transition from there to farmhouse feels a little too abrupt. And since we have most of our density down there, I feel like these would all be single family houses at this point. So let's bring this back, and maybe this will increase our demand again. Or it'll just drop everything, but I'll get some single family houses there in a second. But as you can see, we already have a crime, so I guess we do need to get the police station, and unfortunately it's going to drop our deficit even more. I'm thinking let's get it, how about on this side, so it's a little closer to the train station where, I don't know, I feel like maybe there's a bunch of crime at train stations. It's a public area. I don't know. And it just happens that the German police station is the cheapest. So 90,000. Yeah, all right, let's do German. Sweet. And they're patrolling, but they're not fighting the crime. So hopefully they get that bad guy soon. That bad guy, sound like a 5-year-old, but very quickly, let's fill out our low density houses along the water here. And then looks like, yep, we're already getting this back up. And I left a little bit of space open here for offices once we unlock that at level 4. And hopefully that'll increase our tax revenue and get this closer to the green. Okay, it's high time that we finally nip this power issue in the bud, which we can do because we can finally get another tile, someplace a little windier. And I've been looking around the map, and thankfully this area right here, we can get max wattage.
Max wattage!
If we turn on colors and then go to our wind turbine tab, I apparently just turned off colors. There we go. You can see, yep, we have about 5 megawatts here. And this is a good place for 2 reasons. One, we already have the road here, so it's an immediate connection that'll funnel its way down to our city. And 2, remember I said I think this would be a cool port area in the future, so I imagine this will be pretty industrialized down the line, so good area for a power plant. So let's get this tile right here. And we're still under the 9 limit, so totally free. Love it. And then let's plop down our turbine. And it looks like the road is, for whatever reason, not connected over here, so I'm gonna use a little bit of anarchy, go outside the tile. Sue me. And sure enough, our problems are solved. Let's see. We have, yep, plenty, almost double production now. So that means we could probably even lower our budget a little bit. Save some moolah. We'll keep it at 80 for now. So we're getting closer to level 4, which will be the last one for today's episode because that unlocks transit. And that means we can finally get the sweet, sweet Mediterranean train station right here, kind of fill out this area and get some outside connections. So to get there, let's fill out the remaining blocks with medium residential. I'm gonna try some German assets in this block over here, I think. And then since, well, it was creeping up before, well, I was about to say, well, we'll get low density residential going out into the countryside once that picks back up, but maybe even plop down a few more signature buildings just to get that XP. So let's plop a little bit more and finally get some trains. So we've completely exhausted our residential demand and we're very close. So I think if we plop down one more signature building, that should get us over the edge. So let's get this church, inn, and restaurant, but somewhere out in the countryside. I'm thinking back here because this, if we get a gravel road going out here, that can eventually serve a forestry area. And I think this surface is from the forestry area, so it'll fit. Plus we got all those trees. Let's get a gravel road following one of these contour lines. And eventually that can snake its way back over the bridge. And so we'll go to signature buildings, commercial, yep, right here. And I want the back where all the seating is facing the water, of course. And look at that, milestone 4. Okay, so we got a nice 100K, but in terms of progression, offices, good, we can get some higher tax revenue now. Espresso on the go, lovely. And I'm excited for this one once our buildings level up and get a little taller, I think. So what we got is the district creation tool, and I will need y'all's help definitely coming up with some awesome names for all of our districts, and we can vote on stuff, and I'll do this next episode. But low rent housing, offices, as we said, the big one, transportation, finally. So in terms of mods, I have 2 that are impacted by this. As I pointed out, the more water transportation mod by Washi776, so we can do like ferries and stuff. But I also have Tygon's rail infrastructure pack, so different types of trains and tracks and depots, which are going to be clutch starting out. And then going down, we have parks and recreation. So finally we can get some nice parks around the city, beautified up. And then these are actually from the pre-order DLC. Even though I did not pre-order the game, I got these after the fact on some website. You can buy them for cheap. So to get a little bit more tax revenue, let's exhaust this office demand really quickly. I'm gonna fill out the rest of the port here and actually take a mulligan. I do not like this 6 factory configuration. Let's instead get some bigger factories facing Dunhaven Street. And then we'll do offices on this side of Rosecliff Lane. I was really hoping for something with a smokestack just to get that, 1800s London effect, but that's okay for now. Let's get these offices on this side, and I think it's high time that we unlock parking. And while we're here, let's get those trains. And advanced road services. I have not purchased anything. Great. So I have deliberately not placed any parking because I can't think of seeing big parking lots in a European city, definitely in American cities, and I absolutely hate it, so I'm gonna use these sparingly. But this is one of those times. Let's get a couple parking lots here for all of our port traffic. And we will definitely clean those up later, fill in the surfaces. Unfortunately, we only have modern looking offices, so let's get some small ones that you can't really see. All right, good. We have exhausted all of our office demands, so hopefully once those zone in, we get some higher paying jobs. we will get more taxes. And hopefully our firefighter hops to it because, oh, excellent. As I was speaking. Perfect. I digress. Let's finally do some train stuff. I already unlocked it as we saw, but remember we need to place a depot down first. And with Tygon's rail pack, we have slimmer depots that we can place in tighter areas. And the area I have in mind is back here. This sliver of land right here. We should just be able to fit it. Might have to shift the track over a little bit, but it's also nice and flat-ish, so that should be a more gentle grade going into the train tracks here. So first things first, we got to get this tile, and we are still under, the 9 tile limit, so completely free. Love it. And we'll have a utility road coming off from here to serve the depot itself. So let's go to our train tab, and it's, which one should we do? They're the same price, so I'll just do 5. We don't need 6 in this tight of an area. Here, I'm gonna back it up a little bit more, and then bring this track back just a little bit more as well. Did I see that was plus 3% grade? I might. Oh, it's because there's a little dip there, I think. Here, let's try that again. And am I using Anarchy to do this? Yes. %, much better. All right, and let's have this thing stop complaining. Let's get an alleyway coming off from this intersection around here. Ooh, this will be a fun intersection. And we'll have to bring water and sewage underneath it since they're not immediately included with highways. We might have to do a little bit more grading though, make sure, I think like I've heard even 2% is pushing it, so if we can get this under 2% grade for all of our train tracks, that might be better. There you go, 1.5%, love it. Well, that took me like 20 minutes in real life trying to get all the tracks aligned, but everything is nice and level, though I do see some X's. That tells me I used the wrong type of track. I believe I used the platform variety, whereas we want just the regular one, and sure enough, there we go. Oh, same issue over here. Fix that, and boom. Okay, so with the depot ready to go, we can finally get the train station itself and get a line down to our downtown area. So let's bring back these tracks here all the way. And I'm gonna make sure that the land is same level as the road itself. And you can see it kind of depresses the land below these buildings. I'm fine with that. In fact, I remember when going into Paris that the train tracks were a lot lower than the buildings, so this makes sense to me. What does not make sense is why we have yet another bottleneck with our third windmill. I think, I keep saying windmill, wind turbine. I think it's because actually did we lower this? We did, let's bump this back up to 100. Voila, all right, back to it. Let's get that Mediterranean train station. Where are you at? And let's have it kind of flush with cypress wood lane so we have a little more breathing room on that side where all the main assets are. Ah, look at that. That is so cool. Do we even need to get? Yeah, let's get rid of this one. Oh my God, I love that so much. And you know what? I'm gonna convert that to a one-way pedestrian street. If I can find it. Here we go, small pedestrian street, that's what I meant. So we don't have cars going right by the nice station. So let's just connect up the tracks and then finally get the line down. Not gonna admit how long that took me, but I see two issues. The first one being that the station is bringing down the back of this parking lot, and even the backs of these buildings, but it's okay because it just looks like it has a lower level. This one, however, I tried playing with Move It and it didn't really help, so instead we're just gonna have to move this with the good old-fashioned vanilla Move It tool. Let's get it by the port, catch those criminals trying to steal our goods. A cool $21,000 just to do that. Lovely, but that frees up some space for more commercial. And then the second thing I saw was I did not connect the other side of the depot, so we could totally make our train line now. However, we would see trains going out this way and then backing up, and I think that would be a little weird. So for this, all we gotta do is get rid of the fence in here and then make a connection on this side. Okay, with that connection in place, now we can finally make the line. So we'll go to our transportation tab and do the passenger railway line tool. Let's do, how about just the middle one? Going out to, what is this? Crewkern, lovely. Maybe our city should be called Dukern. No, I'm vetoing that, but let's name the line. And look at that, we got a train going in. Let's follow it. I guess they didn't pick anybody up. That's okay. So I never noticed this, but the clock actually shows the correct time, and you can even see it moving. And that's freaking incredible. Oh my God, yeah. So I never noticed that, but that kind of attention to details. Oh my God, that's amazing. So, God, hats off to whoever created this particular train station. But with rail out of the way, the last things on my docket for today are a little bit of budget management, since we are in a pretty hefty deficit, and then we'll close out with a little bit of detailing and more zoning, since no matter how much I plop in zone, residential always bounces back. So in terms of budget, let's lower some of our newer services. We definitely do not need fire or police at 100. And let's also bring down transportation, since we just have the single train station right now. And already that really helped out. The one other thing I have in mind is to make good on that promise of getting a forestry area over there, because if we look at our production tab, that is the biggest deficit we have, and it's just sitting there. We could do this so easily. So let's go over here. I'm gonna get rid of this surface since it's gonna come back anyway. Go to our zoning tabs. Unfortunately, this kind of blocks the button there, but you can kind of squeeze in there. And we're gonna go to forestry. So our deficit was 1.2 tons, and this is eventually going to garner us 125 tons. So I think that should be good for now. Let's also fix up this little issue. Perfect. Okay, so in terms of detailing, I'm going to, like I said, fill out the remaining blocks that I've just kind of left empty unceremoniously. Get some surfaces in the gaps here. Maybe add a few more parking spots for the industrial traffic. Definitely fill out the remaining gaps here with more houses. I'm thinking the UK terraced houses. So those like kind of fill out the space a little bit more. And then same for over here. This will be, as I mentioned, the last block of medium density for now. And then we'll get some more single family houses. Again, we have full demand. I'm wondering if we should do some French low rent somewhere. Maybe along this side of Gardenia Street. That would be a good spot for it. So yeah, I think that is a good plan. So let's begin. So welcome back to the new and improved city of TBD, where currently we are making money. I did not expect that. I've not even raised taxes, so I guess, yeah, we're doing something right. Although, I take that back because I noticed as I was doing this, we are at a whopping 42% unemployment. And at this point, I have no idea what to make of this number. You'll remember a couple of episodes from Dewey Del Mar where we tried to do everything. We increased the housing by a bunch to make it more affordable to live here. We increased jobs, everything, and it did not budge. So I don't know if this is a bug or what, but I am flabbergasted on that point. But we're still making money, almost. So, quick recap. Obviously filled in a bunch of surfaces and pavement decals and stuff. Stain decals make it look nice, worn down for our port area. Filled in the gaps with trees, did a little bit more zoning to fill out these blocks, and then did get some more low rent housing on here, again to help with affordability, and we just have, max demand for all types of residential there. Adjusted the layout of all our offices and factories in the port several times. I was having a hard time pinning down the configuration I wanted, and I don't know if really we needed to make Rosecliff Lane so curvy. I feel like I went a little overboard with the Europeanness of that, but it worked out in the end, so that's looking good, I think. And then over here by our suburbs, lots and lots of trees, and I don't know about y'all, but even to me, these colors are a little outlandish. You can see it's like practically neon red in the back, or at least I think so. And I tried toning down the saturation to no avail. So right now we're just living in some comic book land, I guess. But yeah, lots of trees. I figured let's hold off on doing inside courtyards for these blocks until we know like exactly what these are going to look like, whether we kind of get deeper units and stuff. Although I did do lots of courtyards in here. Love a good inside courtyard in European blocks. And then got a couple of parks. We could definitely do more later, but our first park right here, Square Pocket Park, this needs a better name. How about Holy Park? One more over in that suburb right there by our row of commercial there. And then just this little custom plaza since I had left this open, a little small triangle. And then connected the two sides of the stream with this nice pedestrian bridge right before the lake. We'll definitely extend this road later, connect back up to Valley Street, and then I'm thinking do the German high school in this parcel of land once we have a little bit more wiggle room with our budget. But we definitely need higher education soon if we want to take advantage of office jobs and anything more higher paying. So as we approach level 5, I think this is a good spot to end it. And I don't know about y'all, but I am incredibly excited to see where the city goes. It's my first European build. Hopefully for our European friends, it looks something like a European city. I know every time I go to Europe, just walking through the streets is an absolute delight. And so my overarching goal for this city, whatever we name it, is to be a place that you would want to visit. And right now, I would totally walk down whatever this is, Moore Street. For now, let's just call this Main Street. And obviously, there is so much left to do. Oh, duh, it's episode 1. But even in here, I don't want to just leave this static. I want this to evolve and change. We can upgrade this to like a Notre Dame Cathedral at some point, get more paths, do something with the port, make it into a nice kind of hipster bougie area or whatever, and try to figure out the simulation, see what it's doing. We're obviously doing something right because we are at plus almost 4,000 per hour, so that's good to see. What I'm requesting from y'all, though, is 3 things. First, the city name. I am so excited to see what y'all come up with. But 2, road names, for at least the major ones. We just named this Main Street, but what should Elm Street be called? Because that's going to be a major thoroughfare. The one leading into the city, Hillside Street. I want to be a little more meticulous with those than I have in Dewey Del Mar. Even if they end up changing all the time because the game's doing what the game's doing, I think it'll be worth it to try to keep the names intact. And then 3, district names. We do have the district creation tool, so next episode, I'd like to name a few districts. Obviously, we have the center here, these suburbs, the port, the suburbs out here, industrial districts. So yeah, excited to see what y'all come up with. So with that out of the way, thank y'all so much for watching, and I'm excited to see what you think, what ideas you come up with. So until next episode, I hope you all have a good one.